Hello, and welcome to this first video in a nerd's journey. I've lost over 169 pounds so far in my weight loss journey, and I'm hoping to share some of the things that have worked for me and some of the things that haven't in this and other videos to come. If you'd like to hear anything specific, please do leave a comment, and if this video is of use to you, please hit subscribe. Thank you. Hello, my name's Mark. I work in IT. My hobbies include gaming, both on the computer and board games. As you can imagine, I spend quite a lot of time sitting at a desk, and because of that, I ballooned to 470 pounds in weight. I'm currently 301 pounds, so I've lost 169 so far. In terms of COVID, it's been a struggle. The company I work for was very supportive. I went to work in the morning, did an hour's work. I went to the gym for an hour and had a personal trainer session, and then went back to work and worked a little bit later during the day. That support meant an awful lot to me, but COVID has meant that that's no longer possible. The gyms are closed, and even if the gyms are open, I'm not sure I'd be the one wanting to go to that gym, even though the personal trainer was brilliant and I was really starting to lose weight on a regular basis, as well as getting fitter, healthier, etc. So, over COVID, I managed to put on about 10 pounds of the weight I'd lost, so I did get down to nearly 180 pounds lost. I'm now back at 169. For me, going forward, this video, and what I'm going to share with people is twofold. One, to hold myself accountable for my own weight loss. Have somebody like the personal trainer that I was reporting to every week and saying, this is what's happened this week. I've lost X amount, or put it on. I've done this exercise, or this number of exercises. But it's also the second point, which is giving and sharing the information that I've learnt that's worked for me so far. Working through what I'm doing that week, what's been good, what's been bad, and what's been downright ugly, and the weight loss each week going forward. So this is a starting point, a reboot of my weight loss journey. And as of right now, I weigh 136.7 kilograms, which is 301 pounds. This channel, A Nerd's Journey, and the website that go with it really serve several purposes for me. I talked a little bit earlier about being accountable and holding myself accountable, and those videos will come out once a week for definite. In terms of other content, that's really about what I've found useful, what I hope will be useful for you, what has worked and what hasn't worked, and those videos I will release as often as I'm able. In terms of content, if there is anything specific you'd like to talk about and have in a video, or my thoughts and opinions on, please do leave a comment below, and I will add those to the list of topics that I'd like to cover as well. Whenever I refer to a blog or to a post or any other information source, calculators for example, I will try and place a link in the description, so please do keep an eye out for that. I'll also, depending on how quickly I learn, try and put timestamps into the videos so that you can skip to the place that actually you want to listen to. Welcome to A Nerd's Journey, and I hope that you have every success on your journey, whether it's weight loss or just getting healthier and fitter. Okay, accountability. I started this journey at 470 pounds, which is 213 kilograms. I'm happy to say that I am 76 kilograms or 169 pounds lighter now than I was then. But for me, I was 10 pounds lighter in February of this year before COVID and the lockdowns and the restrictions. So right now, 136.7 kilograms, 301 pounds. I've taken some measurements and we'll be talking about those in future weeks, but this effectively is week 0. It's the reboot of my weight loss journey, and I'll be sharing the developments over the coming weeks. I'm not sure on a journey to either weight loss or generally being fitter and healthier there are any tricks, but there are some hints and tips that can make it more enjoyable, can make it easier to stay on that journey, either losing weight or getting healthier. I want to say at this point, I'm not a dietitian, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a personal trainer. I have spoken to many of them over the years, but I am not qualified to be any of those. These are just the things that have worked for me and the top hints and tips that I think are important, whether you're already on your journey or you're watching this thinking about starting your journey. So the first one for me is really simple. Start. If you don't start, you're never going to change the habits that have got you to the size or the unhealthy state you're in currently. There is a blog that I'll place a link to, which is things I would think about doing in the first 24 hours of starting your journey. But the simple fact is that if you don't start, it's never going to happen. And I think for me, that was one of the hardest things that I had, which was to seriously start. Not just play at it, not just do it to humour friends, family, parents, the doctor, but actually to make a commitment and actually say, yes, I am actually going to lose weight. I am actually going to get fitter and healthier, and I'm actually going to do that now. Not tomorrow, not next week, not next month, not after your birthday, but now. So the first piece of advice, the first actual hint and tip, if you like, is to start. You have to start somewhere. Jump on the scales, look at the number, and go from there. The second one, tip number 2, mindfulness, whichever way you want to say it. Be mindful of the things that you're doing. What I mean by that is, there are certain things that always pushed me off my path. Those foods that if I had in the house, I knew I was going to eat. Those things I'd avoid doing. If somebody came to me and said, would you like to go for a run? Hell no. A, I couldn't run at the time. B, the thought of running was horrible. So why would I ever do it? Be mindful of the things. So instead of reaching for that, multi-bag of sweets, can you have some yogurts in your fridge and be mindful and choose to go for one of those over the unhealthy? Or even more healthy. It doesn't have to be a salad, with avocado and God knows what else in it. It doesn't have to be something that's a massive change. But be mindful of the small things. If a particular situation makes you reach for the crisps or makes you reach for whatever your poison is, try and take yourself out of that. Be mindful of the situation you're in. Be mindful and have as a conscious choice what you're choosing to do. Don't have it in the fridge. Don't buy it from the store. Or buy a slightly healthier option. Full fat Coke goes very quickly to Diet Coke. And you might think that it doesn't taste as good. It tastes almost as good, and it's a damn sight healthier for you than the alternative. If you're drinking Diet Coke, try and drink more water. Simple things, but it's about being mindful of the situation. I'll give you an example for me. One of my sins in the world is Diet Coke. Now I know it's not got the sugar and the calories in it, but it's still not recommended by doctors and dietitians. I used to have a 2-litre bottle every day. I used to put it next to the table, on the table, next to the TV where I lived as one with a couch. So at the start, rather than getting rid of Diet Coke altogether, I kept the bottle in the fridge and I only took a glass. And I had to think to myself, do I really want another glass of Diet Coke? Because I had to go to the fridge and get it, rather than it just being sat next to me. That's what I mean by mindful. Pay attention to the little things. Don't try and change everything at once, because that way, I know, because I've done it many times, will have you falling off and putting the weight back on if you ever lost it in the first place. Think about the little things. Be mindful of them. Number 3. Track your weight. Track what you're eating. I'm not saying you have to be perfect. I'm not saying that you need to write in a salad if you had a lasagna. But what I am saying is be honest with yourself. Nobody else has to see it. Nobody else is going to judge you for it. But track it. So, my weight. I've tracked it. I can't say I'm happy with it, but it's there. It's a number. And one of the nicest things is I'll never have to see that number again, because next week it'll be something less. I'll eat less. I'll eat slightly better. Those things all build up. But you don't know how to change things if you're not tracking what you're doing. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be high technology, although I do love technology. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. It can be as simple as starting your day with a 10-minute walk. And 10 minutes doesn't sound much, but at the start of this journey for me, 10 minutes was quite a lot. So, track what you're doing, track what you're eating, write it down, have a little journal just for what you're doing. That with mindfulness combined is quite a powerful tip. It was for me, and I hope it is for you. Okay, number 4. Now I confess on this one, I was really bad at it. For as many years as I can remember, I did everything I possibly could to avoid pictures. I didn't want to be in them, I didn't want to be near them, I didn't want to see them, because all I saw was me looking back. The few pictures I've got from the early days, I look humongous. It feels like a different person almost now. I was a lot bigger, a lot more unhealthy. I was literally taking up the sofa. I was a 7XL shirt. I'm down to a 3XL shirt. Doesn't sound like a lot, but that's a massive difference. But one of the things I wish I'd done back at the beginning of this is take pictures. I have got some of the old t-shirts, I've got some of the old pairs of jeans, but I don't have a picture showing just how big I was from the very early days. So my advice, and something I've started doing, is taking pictures. Not all the time, don't particularly need or want to share them with people, but every month I take a picture and I take some measurements, and I actually now feel quite good about where I'm going. I know I've got a long way to go, but I can see the progress I've made over the time. So don't do what I did and avoid the camera. Take a picture. You will thank me for it later when you're looking back on how well you've done on your journey. Okay, number 5. For me, I always had the ability, the skill to fall off the tracks. I'd eat that packet of crisps. That's a lie. I wouldn't eat the packet of crisps. I'd eat the grab bag of crisps. I'd eat the multi-pack of crisps. Because effectively in my head, as soon as I'd had one crisp, one small packet of crisps, I thought to myself, I'm already off the rails. I may as well enjoy it. So I'd eat the lot. I don't think you get to 470 pounds without having the ability to fall off the tracks hard. And I did. Often. Very often. One of the things that I've realised over time is I am still going to have the odd cheat. I am. But what I do now, as well as being mindful about it, as well as being aware that I'm going to have to pay for it later, I also know that I don't have to fall all the way off the tracks. I don't have to eat the entire bag. I can stop. I can be thankful that I've stopped and pick myself up and keep going. I'm not saying I'll never fall off the tracks. I will. I know certainly, I'm certainly no saint in terms of I do have a takeaway once a month. But it's once a month now rather than 2 or 3 times a week. Makes a difference. I also know that I'm now in a position where I can have that takeaway and not want it the second night and the third night. Be aware of falling off the tracks. But also, don't make it an excuse to stay off the tracks. Always think to yourself, yes, I've not been perfect in this meal today, but that doesn't mean you can't get back on the horse tomorrow. It means that you can actually start continuing with your journey and just have it as a small blip, a small bump in the road. That for me was one of the biggest things, which is almost giving myself permission to get back on with the journey, to not worry about that one meal I cheated on. And I do freely admit that over time it does get easier. At the start it wasn't easy. It was one of those things where there was too many temptations. It was too easy to give in to those temptations. But know that you can. If you are watching this, if you're already on your journey or you're wanting to start, you can do it, but you need to choose. And part of that choice is knowing that you will, on occasion, fall off the tracks. But don't let it swallow your week. Don't even let it swallow your day. Have that packet of crisps, put the rest of the multi-bag away. Have a small sweet, don't eat the packet. It sounds so obvious, but I know for me it was one of the hardest things I did, and one of the biggest tips that I was given is just because I've fallen off the wagon briefly doesn't mean I have to fall off the wagon completely and give up. So stick with it. Realise that you can fall off the tracks, but you can easily get back on and get back on with your journey. Thank you for watching this first video for A Nerd's Journey. I hope it was interesting, I hope it was useful, and hopefully I'll see you over the coming weeks. I would ask that if you've got any comments on the video itself, or any comments of things that you would actually like to see going forward, please do leave a comment below. You'll find all the resources I mentioned in this video linked in the description below. If you liked it, leave a thumbs up, and of course if you want to know more, please do subscribe, and I shall speak to you soon. Thanks, bye.